In my last screencast, I talked about the importance of WordPress disaster planning. I explained all of the things that could possibly go wrong with your WordPress website and how disruptive that would be to your business if something bad happened. I also provided you with a disaster planning worksheet that you can use to make sure that you're covered, that you're in a position to deal with any unexpected occurrence, a hack or a server crash, or the fact that you accidentally delete something, maybe delete your database. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate Backup Buddy. Backup Buddy is a plugin that you install on your website, and it automates the process of doing your backups, moving the files to a secure location, and even restoring your files. Now, I've already installed the Backup Buddy plugin on my WordPress site, and I get a new Backup Buddy menu option that appears in the administrator. I'm going to go to Settings first and show you some of the settings that you'll need to set up when you first start with Backup Buddy. The first thing is that you get email notifications, and you can set it to send you either an email notification every time there's a backup that's performed, or only an email notification when something goes wrong. There are also some settings for the restore script where you can enable a password, so you can be sure that only approved personnel have the ability to restore. And the thing that I think is really very powerful about Backup Buddy is this remote offsite storage. You have the ability to manage multiple destinations where you send your backups after the backups have been completed. And so you can see here, I have the ability, I've defined my Amazon S3 server as a destination. I've defined my Dropbox account as a destination. You can also choose cloud files, the Rackspace cloud service, any FTP server, or you can have your files emailed to you. Now, your backups may be, a full backup especially, may be pretty large. So email may not be the best option for your backups. But if you've got a small site, backup, email may be okay, just for like the database backup. So now that I've set up Dropbox and Amazon S3, any backup that I schedule, I can also tell Backup Buddy to send the backup to one of these locations when the backup is done. And I also have the ability to set an archive limit. I can tell Backup Buddy how many versions of the backup to maintain at that location. So if I wanted to keep 24 versions of backups on my Amazon server, I would put 24 in here and save that setting. So with those initial settings out of the way, I just go to the Backup and Restore menu, and I've got some big buttons here. The first option allows me to do a database backup. The second option allows me to do a full backup. I'm going to do a database backup and just show you how quickly that runs here. Backup Buddy is starting the backup. And when I get the green check mark over here, the backup is done. And I've got the option now to click this link and download the backup. Or I can go back to my backup page and see that the backup is in place. That's my database backup. I can do the same thing with the full site backup. It takes a little bit longer to run. Not only does Backup Buddy get the database, it backs up the theme and the plugins and the uploads and basically all of the files on my site, all of the WordPress related files on my site. It's going to be a much larger file that it creates. And same thing, when the full site backup is done, I get the green check mark and I can download the zip file if I want to. So now I've got two backups. Both of these are on my server. I've got the database backup that I ran and the full site backup. It's good that I've got a backup, but as you know, I don't want to keep these on my server. So I've got the option to send the file off-site. And when I click that link, I can select one of the destinations that I set up. So in this case, I'm going to send it to my Amazon server. And I get a pop-up letting me know that that file is going to be sent to my Amazon S3 storage server. And it takes a few minutes to run. It runs in the background. Now I can have all of this happen automatically, and I do that through scheduling. So I'll probably want to schedule two types of backups. I want to schedule the database backup to happen on a more frequent basis and the full site backup to happen slightly less frequently because I'm not making changes to the theme or installing a lot of plugins. The site has been developed and it's pretty much static except for the content. So I want to do database backups more frequently. So I'll give it a name, database backup. I'll choose database only, and I want it to happen every day. And I'm going to add my remote destination. And I'm going to add it to the schedule. And so now that's scheduled. That's going to happen every day at 6:56 p.m. Now let me do a full backup. Database and files, and I'll do that weekly. And I also want to send that to my Amazon S3 service and add that to the schedule. So just like that, I've set up regular database backups to happen daily, full site backups to happen weekly, and both of them will be shipped off to my Amazon storage service for secure safekeeping. They'll be there if I ever need them. And I've set a retention schedule of 24 files. So I'm going to have a nice selection of backups to work with. If there's a problem with the most recent backups, I'll be able to go back probably a few weeks. This really couldn't get much easier. Now let's take a look at a restore. I'm going to take the backup that I just created, and I'm going to restore it on a test site that I've just set up. So to restore this file, the first thing I want to do is download Import Buddy. And I do that from clicking this icon here. This button will download the restoration script. So I've got a folder here on my web server. This is where the new site is going to be installed. And I've moved the Import Buddy script over to that site. If you were restoring on a web server, you would probably use your FTP program to upload this. Now to make this as realistic as possible, I'm going to go to my Amazon S3 account and grab the full site backup that I just did. Backup Buddy has pushed it over to the S3 service. I'm going to download it right into the folder where I'm going to do the restore. Now it's a big file, so it's going to take probably a few minutes to move the backup as zip file over. So we'll give this a few minutes and then we'll continue on with restore once we have the full backup in place. And now the full backup is in place and the backup, the Import Buddy restore script is in place, and I'm ready to move forward restoring my website. So I'm going to the import script on the new website where I'm going to restore from the Backup Buddy. And this is the Restore Buddy script. It's asking me for a password. This is the password that I set in settings when I first set up Backup Buddy. I'm going to type that in now and I'll be on my way. And so now I've logged in with that password and I see the backup file that I put in place. So in this step, Restore Buddy is basically asking the same kind of questions that WordPress asks when it installs a new version of WordPress. It needs your database information. So the server where you're moving your or restoring the backup of your website to needs to have an empty database so that you can do the restore. And I've already got an empty database that I've created, and I've got the username and password set up, and so I'm ready to move forward, and now the restore is running. So the database import is complete. And then the last step is to do some cleanup. Restore Buddy is going to go ahead and clean up the backup and some of the other stuff that we don't want to leave on the site. So we'll go ahead and complete that step. And there's my website, fully restored, and I can log into the admin. And when I log into the dashboard, I see all of my content, just as it was on the site where I did the backup. I'm ready to go. That quickly, this site is up and running. Now, incidentally, you can also use this as a migration tool. So if you want to move your site from one server to another server, Backup Buddy is a great way to do that. Now, I mentioned that this is a commercial plugin, so all of this convenience is going to come at a cost, and it really depends on how many sites you want to run Backup Buddy on. The current pricing for Backup Buddy is $75 for 2 sites. $100 for 10 sites and $150 for unlimited sites. If you've got more than 10 sites, you probably can afford to pay for the developer's license. But even so, at the 2-site deal, it's not a bad deal, especially for all of the convenience and peace of mind that you get from knowing that your backups are being run and they're in a secure location, and that it's going to be relatively pain-free when the time comes to do a restoration. And that's Backup Buddy, a great way to secure your WordPress website and ensure that you can survive any WordPress catastrophe.